Studio owners, stick around. In this video, we're gonna share some strategies to get people on the phone, booked into class, and through the door. My name is Patrick, Director of Revenue at Loudermer, and today joining me is Jonathan, a member success consultant with us. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me. So Patrick, thanks for having me today. I'm excited to dig in and talk about how we get leads in the door. I do our along with Justice, I do our consultation calls, right? And it's so funny because 99% of the time it's hey, I just need more leads and that's how I'm going to grow my business. When in reality, we know what that translates to is I need more members, right? And I need them to stay longer and I want to grow my business. Leads are great, but we're after members, and there's an important couple steps that need to be taken consistently in order to get these leads in the door and onto a membership at our studios.
Absolutely, and let's go through the first one. I think the most important thing to realize or to do once a lead comes through, right, regardless of how you're advertising, is speed, right? Speed to that lead. How fast can I get in front of them, right? How fast can I give them a call? How fast can I give them the text? Because you got to think about someone's mindset, specifically in direct response advertising, right? They're not on these platforms to buy a gym membership, right? They're there to connect with their friends or look at their ex-girlfriend or whatever the reason they're on there, but they see an ad, right? They're emotionally attached to it. It makes them want to opt in. Maybe they realize they're 30 pounds overweight. They want to lose weight for the kids, whatever the reason is, right? In that moment, they're so proud of themselves for making a decision to better their fitness. It is so important to reach them exactly in that moment or as close to it as possible, because in today's world with so many different touch points, even if they wait 5 minutes to hear from you, they're on to the next thing. They're out. So if you can't get speed to that lead, you're gonna have a tough time getting them on the phone.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, right? Speed to get to the lead.
Just made that up.
Yeah, speed to get to the lead. That's going to be number one. So let's talk a little bit more about a couple ways you can do this. Obviously, the year is 2021. There's unbelievable technology out there. We know that gyms have been slower to adopt a lot of the great technology that we do have out there. However, a couple things that I think about is a landing page with a scheduler. So that's one opportunity, right, where you get them to schedule right when that emotion is really high, strike while the iron is hot. So they're opting in and then they're scheduling based on your studio's availability. That's fantastic. And then in addition to that, you've got confirmation messages coming through via email and text message right off the bat. So that's one way to do it. Another way would be if you don't have the landing page, so maybe if they're just opting in on a Facebook lead form, for example, you're triggering automated text and email right away, no matter the time of day. Obviously, if they're opting in at 1 a.m., you probably want to set up a window around that to where it's 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., for example. But those are great ways to initiate that conversation, because as great as it is to call them right away, we know that our staff is not always available to call right away. That's just the way it goes. So having automation as a backup plan is really what I'm getting at here. Because of course we want to call these leads as quickly as possible.
Two things on that, right? So if someone opted in at 1 a.m., our staff's probably not gonna be able to reach them. They might be sleeping.
That's right.
But that automation can reach them. So I wouldn't set a time frame for the automation to be delivered. I would deliver the automation in real time. So if you opt in at 1 a.m., I'm gonna send an automated text at 1 a.m. Now, if that person responds, there's going to be a little bit delay of getting back to them, but at least I reached them in that moment, right? At least I made some type of connection.
Email, text, something, right away. Every time.
Absolutely. And I think another thing that studios, might not take advantage of is voicemail drops, right? So that's a way to get on someone's phone without actually ringing them, right? So if it is 1 a.m, right, and maybe they were half asleep when they opted in, it's not going to call them, but it's going to leave a voicemail drop directly on their phone. So it's just another touch point, another opportunity to get in front of someone.
Absolutely. So there's a couple different ways at the end of the day to reach the lead, but speed to the lead is the name of the game. That's the deal. Preferably it's a phone call.
Speed to the lead. Someone's reaching out to me right now. Speed to the lead.
Yeah, so that's going to be number one. Most important thing, obviously we recommend a phone call, but having these automations set up in the background, because we know we're not able to, depending on the time of day or how busy you are in your studio. Maybe you're short-staffed. We know turnover has been challenging. So there's a lot going on there. Number two is going to be, what's the message, right? What's the message? Or, I mean, if it's an automated email, for example, are we sending over, is there value? Is there maybe like a testimonial? And if we're getting them over the phone, what's the language that we're using? So I'll dive into the phone call a little bit. As a manager I've made thousands of prospecting calls. And I think when I first started, I wasn't really good at it. And a lot of my language that I was using was putting the ball in their court in terms of saying something like, hey, Patrick, when are you free to come in?
Well, I'm
and
busy.
people are busy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I'm busy.
And if they're not busy, they're like, I don't know, I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
And so one of the biggest things that we can do to get leads in right away is option close. Okay, so always option close. So we're reaching out, we're really pointed, and hey, the next step is going to be getting you in for a consultation. The next step is going to be getting you in for your first free class, right? Letting them know clearly what we're doing on the phone here, and then presenting options. So hey, I've got some availability today or tomorrow, Patrick. What works best for you, right? You're going to give me a day. And then I'm going to say, hey, cool, what time of day works best, right? Morning, afternoon, or evening. Again, options, narrow it down again, and then you're going to, afternoon, for example, awesome. So, Patrick, I could either get you in here for our 2:30 class or our 3:30 class.
Yeah.
What works best?
Be the leader, right? Be the leader in that conversation, right? Because they expect you to be the leader in their fitness journey, right? But we got to be the leader on the phone to get them into that journey.
That's exactly right.
And I think a lot of times staff or whoever's answering the phones allows other people to control the conversation, right? And it's usually, what do you guys charge?
Yep.
You realize why they're asking that, right? They don't know what else to ask.
They don't know what else to ask, of course. Yeah.
What? They have no idea.
Right.
The people that you reach out to or that reach out to you, right, that come through like, funnels like, that we set up for clients, it's direct response marketing, right? Like they're not people that are already working out for the most part, right? They're individuals that are sitting down on the couch, overweight, not doing what they should be doing, right? They don't know what to expect. The only intelligent conversation they can have around this new journey is, what does it cost?
Yep.
Because that's all they know.
Absolutely. Yep. So confidently leading our leads to our facility, just making it seamless, right? It's usually, it's so funny. We don't need to do anything magical. I think sometimes like we think as studio owners or GMs, right? Like when we're calling leads, it's like a magic pill. It's like, no, they're interested. So we just need to lead them to where, they want something that we have, obviously, right? And I feel like a lot of times it's like you hear studio managers talking like, oh, I got to make cold calls today. It's like, no, they're not cold calls because these people opted in. They asked for you to reach out. Yeah. Right? So I think having the right mindset too going into it. Sure. Another thing that I think of right away is how do we establish value and getting them in the door? Yep. So one question that comes to mind right away is, if I'm calling you, Patrick, as a lead, I'm the GM, I'm going to ask you, hey, like, what got you interested in our $7 for 7 days? Do you have a fitness goal do you have a special event? Something to trigger their why power, right? Which we define as their motivation, their emotional reason why they want to visit your facility, right? So here's something like, hey, I just had a physical, and I heard that my cholesterol and blood pressure are getting out of control, right?
How'd you know?
That's going to drive that person in the facility, right? Now all of a sudden, like we have an important problem that we can solve for that person. With our services, and now we know that about them right off the bat, and it makes it that much easier. Yeah, it's addressing them as a human being. Right. Don't look at it as a lead. You're having a conversation. You assume responsibility once they opted in to bettering this individual's life. Right. Own that. Right. Don't think of it as a number, as a lead, or as a sale. Like, think of it as a human that you're looking to connect with to help them out because they need some help right now. Yeah. Right. And it's certainly not a cold lead too, right? It's a warm lead. It's like they're interested in what we have. So when we reach out to them, it should sound like, we know they're interested. Yeah. And hey, really easy next steps to come in. Yeah. We're excited to activate your trial. Set the expectations. Right? Set the expectation, meet them with excitement. Yeah. And understand too that they might be feeling uncomfortable. 100%. Right? Because if I just opted in because I had a physical where my doctor shared with me that I have high cholesterol and high blood pressure, and he recommended that I need to get on a workout plan, and that's why I'm reaching out, I probably haven't been in a gym in a while, first of all. I probably have some really unhealthy habits. And I might be freaking out a little bit. Yep. Right? So I think leading with empathy and putting ourselves in the lead's shoes, the prospect's shoes, is going to be really helpful to facilitate a good, organic, warm conversation to ultimately lead that person in the facility and help them get started on their journey so we can change their life. So we talked a lot about some good things, especially once they get them on the phone, right? We talked about the automation to go out if we can't get them on the phone for whatever reason. But let's talk a little bit. What do we do if we can't get them on the line, if we can't get them scheduled into class? What are some of the strategies that you would recommend? My biggest thing is like consistency, right? Like don't just touch a lead 2 times and forget it exists just because they don't answer the phone, they don't respond to your text. Like there's a lot going on in the world. So what would you recommend? I mean, the money's in the follow-up for sure. So continuing to follow up, you can never call a lead too many times. So initially, we should be calling leads multiple times. A tip to make that happen is don't leave a voicemail. Most people don't check their voicemail.
Yeah.
So don't leave a voicemail, and instead just continue to call them, and maybe you're calling them 2 to 3 times in the first initial days after they opted in, just to increase your chances to actually reach them. Now, once it's been a week or so, the strategy does change a little bit. We want to think about how can we add value, right? Are we sending them testimonials? Do we have a drip email campaign set up where they're getting value-added content from us? Are we linking them into some sort of like Facebook group that our gym has?
Yep.
So that they can experience our community before ever walking in the door. The reality is that sometimes the timing just doesn't work out, even though they opted in when they did. Something comes up, they're just not ready. Or 2, they need to be sold more, right? They need to see more, they need to receive more from your studio before they decide to come in for their first visit. So thinking about those 2 things, a drip campaign that's adding value, getting them into a Facebook group, getting connected with them on social media somehow, and continuing to call.
At the end of the day, it comes down to the fundamentals. There's no magic pill. It's just a matter of being consistent with that follow-up. And I really like what you said about leading with value, right? And I think that's important. And I think that will also help out a lot of people that, and I know so many people that sell memberships that do this, but they're so worried about getting told to F off because they call 25 times, right? How do you reduce that? Well, lead with value. Give them something of value. Don't just keep calling them so you can get them in the door and sell them a membership. Like, help them. Find out how you can help them. And deliver content as a way to drive value. And I love what you said about the Facebook group, right? Like leveraging some type of group to get them bought in to your studio before you even get on the phone with them. Like that's such a good idea.
Yeah, and to elaborate a little bit more on that, it could be, if we're leading with value, it could be emailing them an at-home workout guide.
Yep.
It could be emailing them a nutrition guide, right?
Yep.
A healthy recipe. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but just something, hey, Susie, I was thinking about you. I know you opted in for our 21-day challenge a couple months ago. We haven't seen you yet. Wanted to hook you up with a nutrition guide.
Yeah.
Right? It could be something basic, but law of reciprocity, more likely to reach back out, if we're giving versus just trying to receive. And then I would say to think about a couple bonuses, like for the more advanced studios out there, getting a credit card, right, to hold their spot. If it's a class, it depends on the modality a little bit. If it's a more of a personal training studio, you could still, hold a card. And then the other thing would be, getting them to bring friends. And that's going to depend on the studio too. If it's more of a personal training studio, you're probably not bringing friends in that consultation because it's really intimate and one-on-one. But if it's, our class-based studio style, absolutely, right? Hey, this is our most popular class that you're coming to this evening, Patrick, and I just happen to have 2 last-minute cancellations. So who do you want to bring with you? Yeah. Right? It's as simple as that.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love those bonuses. And everyone, if you want the frameworks that Jonathan's talking about, if you want to jump on the phone with Jonathan to learn more about how Loudonroot can help grow and scale your business, click the link in the description below and jump on a call with him.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see you on the other line. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe for more videos just like this one.